Welcome back to Movie Recapped. Today I will show you a drama, horror, mystery film from 2017, titled Radius. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. We open on a storm, then a car crash can be seen and a man who regains his consciousness next to the toppled car. He walks out into the road and follows it to a town. Before he gets there, a car approaches and almost hits him, then swivels off the side of the road. The man runs over to the car to check on the driver, only to find her dead. He takes her phone and calls for an ambulance. The dispatcher can barely hear him when he tells her where he's located. She asks him for his name, but he suddenly realizes that he doesn't know who he is, so he looks through his pockets and finds a driver's license that says he has no name. Suddenly, a dead bird falls on the car, scaring him. The man runs away from the car. He finally arrives at a restaurant, and when he steps inside, he sees that everyone there is dead too. Suddenly, a van crashes outside and that driver is revealed to be dead too. The man tears his sleeve off and uses it as a mask. He grabs a map from the restaurant and runs into the woods. Later, he walks down another road when he gets to a place that can possibly be his house. The light in the front is on, so he knocks on the door. When no one answers, he goes out back and breaks into the house. Inside, he listens to the welcome message of the voicemail and hears his own voice, learning that his name is Liam. Suddenly, he has a memory of himself stranded on a boat somewhere. Later, he's barely out of the shower and he listens to the news reports. They say that no one knows for sure, but there is the possibility of biological warfare. The official can't say if the air is safe to breathe. Liam tapes over the broken glass on his door and hears someone in the field. He tells the man to leave because it's not safe to stay outside. The man can't hear him, so he shows him the message. As the man walks over to Liam's house, he collapses dead in a ditch. Liam writes down what he knows and listens to more news. They report only 2 incidents of the same sort happening and that those seem to be localized. Liam thinks of something as he hears a crow caw outside his house. He goes out and approaches the crow, and when he gets closer, the bird dies. Is it possible he is the center of the strange occurrence? Liam is trying to calculate how far out to spread a line around his house when a car appears. Fearing he might harm the driver, he runs back to the property. Later, Liam wants to call 911 but changes his mind before he does. He pulls a line out of his shed, then gets all the food from his kitchen into a box. Liam is fixing up the shed, as he listens to the news reporting that the deaths were not caused by a virus when he sees a doggy outside. He covers the rest of the windows. That night, the police come over to his house looking for him because they found his truck. Liam hides from them as they check his property. One of the officers gets ready to take a look at the shed when a murder of crows falls from the sky, stopping her in place. She informs her colleague, saying it's the same thing as the restaurant. They get into the car and drive away. Liam has a nightmare about the car accident and wakes up, hearing a car outside. He sees a woman going into his house, and when he backs away from the window, he fumbles and makes a noise. She hears it and says that she just wants to talk to him. Liam says not to come any closer. The woman knows his name and wants to talk to him, but he tells her that she needs to get away from the shed. Suddenly, she knocks on the door, telling him that she just wants to talk to him. Liam opens the door for her and she doesn't die. The woman tells him that she was in the truck with him during the accident. He doesn't know her and tells her that he didn't see her there. Liam confesses that he doesn't remember anything, and she tells him that she doesn't remember anything either. She wants to go inside and take a look around the house, but he's reluctant about joining her. Suddenly, the little doggy sniffs around his ankle, and since it doesn't die, Liam thinks that he might not be the cause of the occurrence. Both of them walk inside the house and he asks her how she knew to come to the house. She tells him that a cop told her who the truck was registered to and she figured he was her best shot. The woman finds a photo of a child, but Liam doesn't know who it is. He thinks she doesn't live with him, but she continues to look through the stuff. They talk about the occurrence and she tells him it's over. Later, he's in the kitchen when she shows up behind him and he remembers her getting into the truck with him. Liam asks her if she knows the place where he saw the truck was stopped. They find the place on a map, right next to a bridge. The following morning, they get to a car and drive toward the place. In the car, she stares at him, trying to figure out what their connection is. He asks her how he should call her and she answers that everyone kept calling her Jane Doe. Liam settles for Jane. They arrive at the bridge and as they walk on it, Jane says she doesn't remember it at all. Liam tells her that he feels like he knows her, even though he doesn't remember. Jane tells him that she had a dream when she was at the hospital. In the dream, she was a child, standing in line at the mall with her family, waiting to see Santa Claus. All of a sudden, a kid pulls down Santa's beard and she freaks out, running out to the parking lot. Jane says that the dream is the only thing she remembers from her whole life. Liam tells her that it's a good thing that she remembers anything because it's proof that her memories are still inside her head. Suddenly, Jane has a memory of that night, where she holds a piece of blank paper and Liam tells her that she can't stay there. She tells him that she threw the paper in the water and that it felt like she was leaving something behind. Jane is really frustrated because she can't remember. Liam has an idea that they should check out the crash site just in case the police missed something there. As they're driving there, the news is reporting that the occurrence seems to be something outside of nature, something man-made. When they get there, Liam asks Jane if the police told them why they crashed, but they wouldn't tell her. She tells him about the second car that crashed down the road from their site. Liam keeps it from her that he was there. They arrive at the crash site and find a blackened circle in the grass. Liam says that it doesn't look like a fire. He has another memory of the moment, that asks her where she was when she woke up. Liam shows her where he was and she shows him where she thinks she was. He tells her that when he got away from the site, the occurrence started with him. Liam explains that it was like he was sucking the life right out of them just by coming close. He firmly believes that he was the reason for the occurrence, him killing those people, but he thinks that it's over now. Jane is scared of him, but he insists that something strange might have happened to her too. She doesn't think so. Jane runs away and he goes after her, apologizing. She's afraid that the thing might come back and kill her too when a woman passing by in a car asks them if everything is alright. They brush her off and continue to argue, but as Jane walks away the woman comes out of the car and tells Liam she's a cop. She tells him that they've been looking for him because of where his truck was found, then she drops dead. Jane stops walking and when she sees what has happened, she runs away from Liam. He catches up to her and tells her that she won't die. They drive to a field and find a goat. Liam stands next to it and tells Jane to walk away from them. He stops her and she turns, then tells her to back away. Jane takes a few steps and the goat falls down dead. Liam tells her that he's the one doing it, but she's the one stopping it. He thinks they should go to a hospital. Jane is worried that no one would understand. Liam insists and says that they should go to a hospital that is a couple of counties away, where no one is looking for him. He needs to know what is happening to him so he can explain it to the police. Jane says that he should just say that he has trouble remembering so they can give him a CT scan. Before they go in, Liam apologizes for not telling her and Jane says that they're in it together now. The doctor tells him that he should have come to the hospital right away when he has another memory. They take him in for the scan and the technician tells Jane that she has to step outside. The two of them lie that he gets claustrophobic and can't be alone, but the technician doesn't allow it still. Jane asks to go into the booth with her and she agrees to that. They're both looking at the monitor when the scanning process begins. Once Liam and Jane are outside, he asks her if she saw something strange on the monitor, but she says that she wouldn't know even if she did. Liam gets nervous because it's taking them a long time when he notices something on the news and turns the volume up. They're reporting about the cop's death, saying that the person she was on the phone with heard her say Liam's name. The police have found the farmer's dead body on Liam's property as well and have deemed him armed and dangerous. They want to escape the hospital, but see the police is already there, so they backtrack and run into his doctor. He tells him that his scan is clear, that there's nothing with him when Jane pulls him away because she sees the police coming. They run and the officers go after them but lose them in the hallways. Liam gets into an elevator when Jane sees pamphlets about missing people and remembers the paper from the bridge. It was a pamphlet about her. The elevator door closes before she can get inside and they get separated. It begins to move and Jane runs down the stairs following it. Liam tells the people inside that they need to get out of there the moment the doors open. The moment they stop and the doors open, the people run out. Liam waits for Jane but misses her in a heartbeat. She continues running down the stairs. They finally meet on the second floor, but when they see the cops there too, they finally exit the hospital. Later, they arrive at a private property. Jane tells him about what she remembered, that she had a feeling like she couldn't come back to her life. Liam suggests they rest and figure it out tomorrow. They stay in the car on the property. Liam falls asleep and then Jane. He has a nightmare about the night of the crash and wakes up then sees that she has a wedding band on her finger. The following morning, Jane is listening to the news reporting that the police are aware that she was with Liam and that they know her name. She was identified by her husband, who gives a statement at a press conference begging her to come home and saying that he loves her. Jane tells Liam. She thinks they should meet with her husband because he might be able to help her remember and fix their situation. Liam tells her to go and see her husband, but that he'll stay there because it's too dangerous for him to walk around. They argue about it because she's scared that the man saying he's her husband might be the reason why she had gone missing in the first place. Jane eventually convinces him to come with her. They find his address in the phone book and drive over to his house. When he walks outside to take out the trash, they drive up to the house, and when he runs over to them because she recognizes Jane, she tells him to get in the car. Sam recognizes Liam from the news and asks her if everything is alright. Jane tells him just to get in the car if he trusts her. Later, the three of them are in a field. They've told Sam about what has been going on, but he doesn't believe it. Nor does he believe that she doesn't remember who he is. Sam wants to call the police, But Jane tells him that if he doesn't help them, she'll have to go away with Liam. Meanwhile, Liam finds some pigeons and they demonstrate what happens when they're not standing close enough to each other. Sam is scared but agrees to help. He takes them back to his store where they can hide out for a couple of days. Jane tells him that they need to find a scientist to help them and that maybe Sam should act as a middleman. Liam says that first, they need to get rid of the car. Sam knows where he can take it. Sometime later, they listen to the news reports speculating about their relationship. Suddenly, Liam finds the missing persons pamphlet with Jane's face and another name on it than the one her husband gave. Sam arrives at the same time and explains that Jane had a twin sister. She asks what happened to her and Sam tells her about her sister's story in private. Apparently, after Jane's sister went missing, she got obsessed with finding her. She got really depressed and her life began falling apart. The previous week it had gotten worse, so they had a huge fight and she stormed off.